Hi, my name is Karen Holmes. I'm the founder and director of the World Peace Organization for the One World Government. Today is Christmas, 2020, and many people are suffering around the world. Many people are alone because they haven't been able to travel because of the pandemic. This is a time when normal traditions haven't been kept. Many people are facing financial hardships, and the cherished gifts that would normally be under the tree are not there this year. People are suffering. There's a food shortage even going on in many places because of the lack of food, and many people because of the unemployment and the lack of the stimulus checks that didn't get passed. People are in crisis. People are really suffering a lot. There is such a division in the world, and how can peace come? So that's what I wanted to address tonight, is the kind of like look at the true meaning of Christmas. What exactly is the true meaning of Christmas? I've talked in previous videos about the faith of the pure ray and how it has a way to unify the world's 7 major religions based on the idea of the planning process, that each of the 7 spiritual teachers who were the founders of their religion, they introduced a certain segment, a certain principle of the planning process, and by doing that to their cultures, the cultures were ready to listen. By doing that, when you combine all the religions into this idea of the faith of the pure ray, what happens is it's a unifying force. So when you look at one and you say one religion is the chosen one, and that's the one true religion, that's not really true, because basically it takes everyone, all of these principles together to be able to create the life you want, which is what our unalienable rights from our Creator are. So our relationship with our Creator is that God, the creator of us all, whatever you want to call him or her, actually they're male and female. Lady Gaia is the female aspect of God, and I am that I am is the male aspect of God. And they're our creator parents. When our relationship with them is that we are their creation, basically, and we are part of them. We are part of our Creator, and then we are part of the same substance of them as they are. We're creative. So what we're doing is we have unalienable rights to create the life that we want and to fulfill our purpose in life, a soul agreement that we have. Our Creator, basically, it's a contract. We were born. Before we're born, we go to our Creator at a certain time, and we come up with a plan to undo the damage that we've done from previous lifetimes. Now, you can believe in reincarnation or whatever, but so whether you or you don't, it doesn't really matter. But what happens is then we're born and we work to undo the damage. But as we're there, on the other side, we create a plan, and then it has to go through the plan, like a planning board, a karmic board, and then it has to go through and get all the agreements associated with it, so that we have everything that we need to fulfill our purpose in life. It's given to us like on a silver platter. And I said, Archangel Michael told us at the prayer circle that God gives us everything we need on a silver platter. That is basically the idea of the banquet table parable. Okay, so the one true religion really is all of them combined, all of them fit together into this idea of that. Each one of the spiritual teachers who were born and introduced the idea, for a while each of them was the chosen religion, and then they were chosen by God at that point in time to introduce this body of knowledge. But now all of the religions have been introduced, all 7 of the planning process steps or stages, and then now the whole overview idea is being introduced in the unifying force. If you go onto the website at pureray.org, pureray.org, you'll understand how they fit together and how it goes around the planning process and how they relate to each other. It's very remarkable how they do that. Okay, so but now I wanted to focus on Christianity and Christmas. So what is the idea behind Christ Mass? It's not Christmas, it's Christ Mass. Let's say the Christ is the Christ consciousness, and that we are all part of the Christ consciousness. Okay. The idea of consciousness is the idea of like an overview idea, where if you know anything about databases, for example, you know there's a field and then there's the items inside the field. Okay, so Christ consciousness is the idea of the field, and each of us are like items that are going into the field. Okay, now what happens though is we're going to address something here now with this idea of Christmas, okay, Christ Mass, and the idea of coming up with a plan that benefits everyone. So what we have now is the idea of a problem. Okay, there's many crises going on in the world. Let's say the pandemic. So we're looking at the idea of a problem, like we're going to call it crisis in the family. Okay, opposing the idea of the plan, there's on the opposite side of the circle, there's the idea of the glitches, the idea of inequality or a problem. So that is the rationale for a plan. Okay, that problem is the rationale for a plan. And then the idea comes, this is where Christianity comes in. Jesus taught the principles of creativity, creating a plan. But it has to address the root cause of the problem, or it'll make the problem worse. So now, for example, each of the religions teaches one aspect of it, but also plays a favored power game. And what we're doing in the world right now to cause all these problems is misunderstandings that on how to solve problems. Okay, for example, I'm going to give you a modern day idea right now is the vaccine. What is the vaccine addressing the root cause of the problem, or is it making it worse? So as we are sitting here at this moment, Christmas Day 2020, the vaccines, people are starting to be vaccinated by the vaccines that are being introduced, and more people every day are getting that. Are we safe? Does that mean that the pandemic is over and we should celebrate and everything is going back to normal? No, it's not going back to normal, because it doesn't address the root cause of the problem. And that's one of the things that we're starting to see with the idea of strains. The different strains are coming out, and I think there are like 3 or 4 new ones that have been just coming out in the last week. Africa, South Africa, Nigeria, and then England, or the UK, someplace in the UK. And then there was another one that I heard about. So what we have is a problem that's continuing to grow, and many people are saying, well, we have the vaccine now, we're safe. But the vaccine doesn't address the root cause of the problem, and there's no guarantee that the vaccine will actually address each of the strains that are coming into the country. A way to look at this is that the Spanish flu is still being coming back year after year, and in the form of flus. In fact, they come up with different ideas about. They tried to predict which flu is going to come out that year. Well, you have to address the root cause of the problem for it to be solved. So when you have a plan, it has to address the root cause of the problem, or it's going to make the problem worse. So we're looking at the principles of this idea of creativity. What are the principles of the creativity? So is it science? And now I'm not saying science is bad. My education is mostly science, so I understand science pretty well. I worked in the dental field and I took a lot of dental classes, dental hygiene classes and things like that. So I understand how the body works. Okay, I'm not an expert at it. It's been a long time, but I also understand the physiological aspects of the human body. So if you have a problem, it has to address the root cause of the problem, or it makes it worse. We're looking at an idea all over about let's say, having a problem and having a solution, and the solution only goes part way, but it doesn't go all the way to solve the problems where everybody functions on a higher level. Okay, a plan has to stand on several principles, and I'll go into those in a separate video. Okay. So Christmas is the understanding about the Christ consciousness, the field idea, where instead of us being, instead of us being individuals, we're part of this field of we are humans. And we're all in it at the same time. We are all on an individual basis. We might be millionaires, or we might be homeless, but we're still humans, and we still have the same capacity. We're still connected to our Creator. Okay. So Christmas is coming up with a plan that addresses the root cause of the problem. Okay. Back in the time of Jesus, there were the Middle East was under the control of Rome. There was the prophecy that there would be the Messiah coming and being born, that they would save people. They were hoping for somebody to pull them out of the Roman occupation. Okay, did it address the root cause of the problem? If we're looking at Roman occupation, it wasn't that they needed to bring together an army of zealots to fight Rome. Jesus was not that kind of a person. He freed them basically over by introducing the principles of Christianity, and then allowing those principles to go forward. But it's taken many centuries for all of this to play out, for the freedom to come out. The 7 principles, I have the intellectual property that's been given to us it includes 3 inventions, and those explain how oppression in the government, for example, intolerance leads to oppression, and that leads to people losing their rights, and that leads to losing their freedoms, and then on to the point where it creates waves and ripples of effects. Okay, so we're looking at a way to solve problems, and that's what is going to happen. As these inventions come out, they're going to explain how to create a sense of balance again. They address the root cause of the problem. So that is a sense of, let's say that you have a crisis in the family, and that is something that's unequal, something that is creating oppression, that is where one group has greater rights. So a Christ consciousness would be something where that's equal, that everybody is equal in this field. Everybody has the same rights based on their idea of their unalienable rights. So how many people now have their unalienable rights to be able to create the life they want without interference, to be treated fairly and equally, and to have a voice in their government? After this last election, we're starting to see this idea of voter suppression. We're starting to see the questions of whether or not our election was fair. Donald Trump has been protesting that. Okay, so what it comes from God is a consciousness where everybody is equal, everybody has their unalienable rights, everybody has their freedom to create the life they want without interference, everybody has compassion. Okay, it's like do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Everybody has a sense of abundance based on the principles of the cooperation of nature, which is how Lady Gaia and I Am That I Am function. Everybody has their capacity based on their talents and gifts, and therefore everybody has tolerance and is willing to work together. Tolerance has to do with working together to solve problems. Okay? So if everybody is functioning from their own capacity, everybody has a sense of abundance based on assuming responsibility for their own actions, like in Proverbs 31, a woman of noble character. All of these ideas are not what most people consider to be about Christianity. People are celebrating today without understanding the principles of Christianity. They're saying we're more important than you are. During the Crusades, one of my personal projects is the Catholic Church in America. Okay, my project has to do with addressing sexual abuse by the priests and acts of terrorism that came as a result of the Crusades. These are both based on the 7 deadly sins. I'll go into that greater at other times. But what I wanted to just tell you is that these are things that are misunderstandings in the Christian church, that where people basically believe that they are able to be oppressive. They have the right to do something like oppress other people, or let's say to go into the Middle East, for example, and say we have the right to be here, and we're going to wage war because you don't have the right to be here. And then basically that's not tolerance. And that has to do with our plan for world peace and my own personal responsibility for that. I have my Catholic Church in America newsletter that will be introduced shortly, and it's rather an interesting newsletter. Okay, so I just wanted to share with you some information. Christianity is not what anybody thinks. The rapture is happening now, Armageddon, all these things. the people who believe that Armageddon is going to be a battle fought on the plains of Megiddo in Israel. No, it's happening all over. It's a sociological event where two people are sitting in a field and one is taken and the other is left behind. And that is what created this schism happening. I don't want to go into all of that right now. I just wanted to address the true meaning of Christmas. Jesus of Nazareth came to introduce the principles of creativity, and he did it through the Beatitudes and through all of his teachings. He taught how to come up with a plan. He said, the meek shall inherit the earth. That means you don't have to fight for anything. God gives us what's on our silver platter. You don't have to fight for anything. Okay, so the only thing I can say right now is Merry Christmas. Now, the last thing I just want to say is that we're all part of the same field. We're all humans. We're mankind. Okay? We are humans. And we're part of that field where everybody's equal in the field. And where we're equal is we all have the right to create the life we want. Nobody has greater capacity to do it. We all have the equality, the capacity, and the opportunity to create the life that we want. And nobody can prevent us from doing that. We just have to stand on those principles. If we only function for our own interests, or if we're getting revenge on somebody, then we are breaking universal law. And that goes against the principles of creativity. Okay? You cannot get your life by breaking universal law. You cannot get your life by getting revenge on other people. You cannot let somebody else interfere in your life. And that's why so many people are dying now of the COVID-19. They believe that somebody has prevented them from getting their life. Okay. So that's all for tonight. And Merry Christmas to everyone, because everybody is a Christian. Everybody is in the process of learning the principles, is going to learn the principles of Christianity. And we are going to, if you look on pureray.org, you'll realize that our next holiday that we celebrate is not Easter or any of the other church holidays. We celebrate Passover. And then we celebrate Wesak, which is a Buddhist celebration. And then we celebrate Ramadan. And in the middle of the summer, we're all Hindus at that point, or Muslims at that point in time. And that's a time when we're looking inside of ourselves, introspection, to figure out whether we are actually standing on the principles of equality, or if we have allowed other things to enter into our awareness. Okay, then we celebrate Diwali, or Deepavali, you can call it either. And then Confucianism doesn't really have any, and neither does Taoism. They don't have any real celebrations, but what we do is we understand the principles of capacity and tolerance. Okay? We work together, and it really doesn't matter whether there's a celebration for those. But we're studying the principles that each of those spiritual teachers taught. Once we do that, then you can understand the planning process, and you can go on and create the life you want, which is to fulfill your purpose in life. Okay? That's all I wanted to say tonight, is Christmas doesn't have to be a time of loneliness. It doesn't have to be a time of sadness or fear for the future. It's a time when you, like the starting the New Year resolutions, okay? If over the next week, we're going to be all considering New Year's resolutions and letting go of the old and coming into the new. So this is a time when you have the tools that you need to actually make those New Year's resolutions come about. Okay. So, thank you for stopping by. And Merry Christmas, and be sure to like, subscribe, and share. Thanks.